In today's Stadia news, we'll be going over a couple of games that got dated, one of which has been highly requested by the community at large, and then we'll be going over the biggest highlights of the latest This Week on Stadia blog post. Now before I begin, because I know some people are going to bring it up, I know about the news that happened yesterday, I made a fully dedicated video on it and gave my personal opinion of what's going on. If you're interested in hearing that, be sure to check it out in the annotation above. But now let's get to the news at hand, and we're going to begin with the biggest news story of the day because it revolves around a title many people have been waiting for. FIFA 21 will officially be arriving on Google Stadia March 17. By a far margin, this has to be one of the most requested titles I ever see get brought up in the YouTube comment section. FIFA is an absolutely massive franchise, and to have it on Google Stadia is a very good thing. When it comes to third-party multi-platform titles, FIFA is one of the staple pillars, right next to Call of Duty and Fortnite. And while the title itself is coming a few months after its official release date, it's still a great sight to see. What really matters here though is whether or not the sequel FIFA 22 will be arriving on Google Stadia day and date alongside other platforms later this year. While I do think a lot of people plan on picking up FIFA 21, I have no doubt that some people probably couldn't wait for the Stadia release and picked it up elsewhere. All that being said, I do think that the Stadia port will actually be pretty decent if Madden 21's port is anything to go by. But now let's take a look at another game that got announced for Stadia that actually happens to be a pretty big IP. Judgement will be launching on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and Google Stadia April 23rd. Now if you're wondering why I said that's a big IP, it's because it's based off the Yakuza series from Sega. The game itself was originally released back in 2018 on the PlayStation 4 but will be getting re-released with various improvements for next-gen consoles and Stadia. It's easily one of Sega's biggest IP, and honestly speaking, it's a fantastic franchise that I would recommend any of you try out. Judgement itself follows a former lawyer turned into a private investigator. It takes place in 2018 where a series of murders involving 3 Yakuza members from within the region were murdered in a short span. It becomes your job to dig deep into the underworld and solve the case behind it all. Now, for anyone wondering, while the game's story does sound a bit serious, the games are anything but. They're full of mini-games, a bunch of jokes, and honestly are a very good time. Now, to be clear, Judgement does have a bit of a darker tone than most of the Yakuza series, but it can get extremely silly at times as well. Truth be told, this is a game I'm genuinely excited to play on Stadia because I never got the chance to play it on my PlayStation 4. Games like these matter to me quite a bit, and I'm really happy to be seeing it come day and date alongside the next-gen platforms. I will also say, it's very interesting that it's only coming to next-gen platforms and Stadia. I'm really interested to see how Stadia holds up against the other two. But now let's go over the biggest highlights from the latest This Week on Stadia blog post. First up is the release of Epistory Typing Chronicles. It's described as an atmospheric adventure typing game that tells the story of a writer lacking inspiration who then asks her muse to help her write her latest book. Your adventure will begin on a blank page, but the world will soon become larger and livelier as you gather inspiration, solve its mysteries, and defeat its enemies. On a personal note, it does seem like a bit of an interesting title, but I say that as a fan of the Typing of the Dead series. You can pick up this title today on Google Stadia for the price of $14.99 US. The second highlight of the week is that Farming Simulator 19 will be free to play for Stadia Pro members this weekend. Starting at 9 AM Pacific Time, Thursday, February 4th to 11 AM Pacific Time, Monday, February 8th. Now I'm gonna keep it real with you, this isn't my type of game, but I know plenty of people out there actually really love this series. If you happen to be one of those people, do let me know down in the description below why you love these style of games. The last highlight I'll be sharing today is the Ubisoft Family Game Sale happening right now. As a heads up, the following prices are all listed in the US dollar. I'll be listing the sale price for everyone and then the Stadia Pro member price right after. Family Feud is available for $24.59 or $20.09. Just Dance 2020 is $37.49 or $29.99. Just Dance 2021 is $37.49 or $29.99. Monopoly is $15.99 or $9.99. Lastly, you can buy Uno for $5.49 or $3.99. Overall, a pretty decent sale if you're looking for that type of family game. And that summarizes all the news I have for you today. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful at all, be sure to hit that like button as it really does help the channel out. And if you're wanting more content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell as well. Today's end of video question is simply going to be asking you what IP you want to see be brought over to Stadia, and try and be a bit more creative than giving the usual suspects of Call of Duty, Fortnite, or Battlefield. Truth be told, Yakuza's announcement did catch me off guard. I didn't think we'd actually see the franchise arrive on Stadia, but I'm glad it's coming. Either way, I look forward to reading what you can all come up with. As always, thank you for watching today's video. This has been Generation Stadia, giving you that daily dose of everything and anything cloud gaming related. The Gen S community is over 8,000 strong and growing by the day, and until next time, I'll catch you in the clouds.